Hey guys, it's Lumen, and today I am presenting my UN2 title challenge clear. I believe it was called like 1,000 Arms something something something. So yeah, I'm yeah, that's my clear of this dungeon. Now, as you can see, I'm using Lisette from Sacred Relic Dragon Saga, and I will go over, the team build itself and the dungeon. Now, I didn't build the team myself. I kind of just copied it off somebody from JP. So I will link the corresponding JP video in the description below, as well as I'll put in the image of the team build in the video itself. So that'll be good. So, without further ado, let's get into the team and the dungeon. Now, before I begin, I do want to say that I did sprain my wrist yesterday, so I actually, when I was trying to clear, I actually could not, physically combo very well. Like, if you watch the video, I'm very slow and, not very precise at all, and it's pretty frustrating, but, thankfully the team is really good. It's really lenient and it's really strong, so I don't really have to think all too much while I combo, nor do I have to combo very fast at all. So thankfully it's not very taxing, but I did injure my wrist, so it was, if it's like slower than what you think I might be comboing, yeah, it's because of my injury. So of course it's also because I'm slow and I'm losing subscribers. Gonna yeah, hopefully the editor kind of puts up the explanation to that joke. But yeah, anyway, the team itself. Now the team, it's a green brick team, right? Because Lisette is green and she has bricks, so that's kind of how the team works. The thing about Lisette though is that she doesn't really have any whatchamacallit. She doesn't have her own orb generation, right? So a lot of the what we've seen recently a lot is that we have a ton of leads that provide their own orb generation and their own powerful leader skill, and then the rest of the subs are used to fill in everything else, right? This includes basically all the submarines, right? And the submarines have dominated the meta for quite some time, so all the submarines are basically, they create their own orbs, they provide their own leader skill, and everything else is just utility or damage or whatever you need, right? However, recently, we've had some leads that don't do that, and we've had alternate orb generations, such as, for example, Leo, right? Leo is an extremely powerful card, but he actually doesn't generate his own orbs. So people run Shiva Dragon system in order to synergize with Leo in order to clear dungeons and whatnot, right? So, yeah. Lisette is the same way in that she also has a really powerful active, right, once she transforms. But the problem is that her active doesn't provide enough orbs, nor does it even loop in order to create, the bricks that you need in order to clear, right? And so here we have Meng Wu to fill in that orb generation need. He creates 10 orbs in a fixed pattern, much like, well, he's similar to Z Alpha Edge, but Z Alpha Edge is a little better because Z Alpha Edge provides more orbs, like 13 I think, which is enough for a brick. Mengwu only provides 10, but using residual wood orbs to match 12 isn't particularly hard, especially when you have Lisette, who also generates 3 wood orbs and heal orbs. So it makes it a little bit easier in that sense to consistently hit the bricks, which require 12 orbs. Other than that, the other 2 units, Berthe and Alina, are just used for utility. Yeah, I think the main defining feature of this team is just the expense. It's extremely expensive, and I know Lisette was buyable, but the problem is that the helper requires a Lisette with a Lisette equipped, so you can't buy 2. So yeah, it's unfortunate because now you have to roll one, right? Of course, I use the friend. I'm not that loyal. I don't own 2 Lisettes. I wish I did. Or I guess you would need 3, right? Because you would have to have Lisette and then self-helper Lisette and then a Lisette equipped. So yeah, I'm not that loyal. I don't have enough Lisettes for that. But luckily, a friend came in clutch. Shout out to Tony. Thank you so much for providing the Lisette that I needed in order to clear. So yeah, while Lisette may be, buyable as a bundle, the real problem lies in the fact that you have to deal with a bunch of mid rarity cards. For example, Meng Wu was a 6-star or 6-star, 7-star. Forget the rarities of Kingdom. I think it was 5, 6, 7, right? Yeah, 5, 6, 7. So Meng Wu, either way, regardless of the rarities, he was a mid rarity who was untradeable. So untradeable mid rarities are absolutely miserable because you just have to chase them with stones, right? And sometimes, if the odds are not favorable, you just have to pump the stones in to get what you need. Now, thankfully, I was pretty lucky, and I actually managed to get 2 Meng Wu within a low amount of rolls. So that was absolutely amazing. And in fact, I didn't even realize how good Meng Wu was gonna be until people started talking about Lisette, and I was like, wait, you need 2 Meng Wu. Do I have 2 Meng Wu? I do have 2 Meng Wu. Wokch. So yeah, I mean, I know it feels like I'm an ignoramus, but I mean, I just didn't notice until like much later. But regardless, I'm very glad I have 2 Meng Wu. Now, of course, that's not the only reason why the team is expensive. Another reason why the team is so difficult to run is because you need a bunch of Team HP equips. And not just any Team HP equips, but you need very specific Team HP equips, such as Meng Wu's first equip. So not only do you need 2 Meng Wu, but you may need even more, or you need Tapio equips, right? At least 3. So yeah, not only that, but it's also extremely expensive because you need even more mid-rarity cards, right? So minimum, you need at least 5 mid-rarity cards to make this team work. Because the main pitfall of the team, not a pitfall, but one of the biggest restrictions behind the team is that you need, how much HP is it? 1.35 million HP in order to tank the 50% Super Resolve Break moveset on the boss, right? And the thing is, to reach that amount of HP, like, yes, I know Lisette has a great 3.8x multiplier with HP, so 3.8 times 3.8. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to try to do math on this stream, okay? But regardless of what it is, right? It's a lot of HP, right? But the thing is, you need even more than that. You need an absolutely absurd amount of HP. And to get that amount of HP, you need a lot of Team HP equips. And when I say Team HP equips, I mean triple Team HP equips, the gold standard of the meta right now. I think Team HP equips have been just absolutely, like, the most valuable so far. And it's no exception for this team. In fact, the only Team HP equips that you really want, besides one Meruem equip, for reasons I'll explain later, is Hulk or Meng Wu, because they provide rows on top. Now, that makes the team very difficult to build, of course, because it's extremely expensive to acquire 3 Tapio, especially when it's so painful to roll in the Marvel reskin already. Considering that it is a Cyclops list version, but I'm not going to really dig into that into this video. You may see me talk more about it in a different video, right? Yeah, so extremely expensive, right? Because you need to reach 1.35 mil, and like the team, I think if you notice during the assist buying floors, you kind of start out with like, I think like 600,000, 700,000, somewhere around there. And so you effectively need to double your HP, which means you need at least like 20, right? Or 17, maybe 16, 15. But regardless, you need a ton. And a ton is going to come from the 3 Tapio equips. You need 1 Meruem equip, because the Meruem equip actually neutralizes a lot of pesky spawns throughout the dungeon. And then you need 1 Homage. Now, Homage is relatively accessible, so that's good. Unfortunately, the rest of the build is not. So yeah. So this team works well. I mean, it has a really smooth early game setup. You can transform turn 1, because it has a lot of skill boosts, and not only that, but you also have Alina's Alina's transform active, right? So not post transform, but her I mean, both of them are good, but what we care about is the auto heal effect of her transform active, which is absolutely insane because, like, basically what happens is in the early game you don't have to combo, right? Especially because Lisette is all HP, she doesn't even rely on shields, so you don't even need to think about like shielding or anything. You just kind of just go ahead and combo it, and everything works out just fine, right? So absolutely fantastic. And then Alina makes everything smooth, and then from there on, you just kind of combo it out. The only difficult part is remembering and learning how to stall and save Lisette's inherit, the helper Lisette's inherit, which is also a Lisette equip, right? Because you need that attribute of Zord there, because you don't want to burn the Gunga box or whatever, Gunga pieces, the Meruem equip on Barret right at the beginning. You want to save that for a little bit later. So, yeah, with that aside, everything went well. I didn't even study the dungeon all that much. Like, I had no idea how this dungeon was gonna go. I just kind of went with it, and everything worked out pretty nicely. So unfortunately, I don't really have like the technical knowledge about the dungeon that I usually try to have, but thankfully, I don't need it, so we're all good. The team just runs very, very nicely. Just make green bricks, make sure to heal when you take damage, and you're generally good, right? Of course, you know, we have to get into the dungeon mechanics now, because the dungeon mechanics are the only other thing you really, really need to avoid. In this case, the main mechanics that you really need to avoid are the negative orb enhance, right? So negative orb enhance, from the way I see it, is that if you match them, I believe they have your damage, and if you match two of them, then it just completely neutralizes your damage into one. So it's a big problem, and unfortunately we don't have the collab that was supposed to counter this in One Piece, so that's why NA is pretty miserable. But again, I'll elaborate more on that in a future video. I don't really want to get into the details of all that here. Okay, so yeah, it's very miserable. Like, negative OEs are definitely painful, because if you match too many in your brick, you just literally do no damage. Now, this team has great survivability, so I'm not particularly worried, excuse me. But that aside, it does make the run slower, and could potentially lose you the title challenge. So definitely a pain. Yeah. The other mechanics that are really painful are the the negative combo, right? So sometimes they'll cast negative combos, and so, you know, if you combos, remember, are not just important for breaking through like shields, right? Through combo shields. Like, for example, if you put, like, I think Nohime, when you hit her down to super resolve, she goes to she puts up a 15C shield, right? You need a lot of combos to break that, right? But if you have a negative combo debuff on you, that becomes a lot harder to hit, right? Because it increases more and more and more. Now, Lisette, of course, doesn't really have any problems with this, because not only do bricks and combo orbs generate a ton, and I'm saying a ton, right? Like a gigaton of... yeah, a gigaton of combos. She also has innate +3 for each Lisette on the team, right? So that's +6 as well. So it's just an absolutely insane amount of combos. So luckily Lisette doesn't have anything to worry about there. But you definitely do have to worry for other things like like Leo, for example. Leo doesn't generate any of his own combos or any combos innately, and while combo orb is great, in this dungeon combo orb is not enough. So yeah, it's definitely a pain there. Sorry, my voice is not the greatest right now, but hopefully it's coming through nicely. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's the dungeon's here, the team is here. Now, I can't, you know, say what problems or what spawns could be problematic. I guess anything that's negative OE right? Spawns negative OE Skyfall, that spawns negative OE. Those are probably the most problematic spawns. They're definitely very painful. Sometimes they can even waste turns because you had to clear them out before you started actually doing damage. So definitely very frustrating. But other than that, the spawns are very strong. Of course, Lisette's one huge advantage is that she has a typing advantage over the boss, right? Because the boss is water and she is wood. And so wood beats water, so you have a typing advantage on the boss, which is actually very useful. Mainly because, you double your damage. And in the era of super gravity, right? Look, before super gravity came around, we just capped everything and didn't care, right? You could, the only thing you cared about was attribute disadvantage. If you didn't have a disadvantage, then you didn't care because you just maxed out and, attribute advantage didn't really matter. But now with super gravity, reducing your damage by a tremendous factor, 50x, 80x, right? All of a sudden, you kind of have to care because you are doing a lot less damage, and attribute advantage starts to matter a ton, right? Especially when you consider it's 2x, right? A 2x factor. So yeah, there's something to that as well. But yeah, Lisette has that advantage of being wood over water, so it's very nice. Let's see. Trying to think here. Is there any problems with this team? Anything of note? Oh, I think one really cool thing from this build is the way it deals with Fujins. Because if you notice, there's a lot of random Fujin spawns everywhere. And this team deals with it very nicely by using the Fujin latent tech. And while that does reduce potential damage because you could run killers instead, it's absolutely fantastic because you literally do not need a Fujin active with this. You deal with every Fujin that you need. Because the way it works is, okay, so obviously Lisette does a lot of personal damage, so it's very beneficial to have a sub-attribute ping on her, which she doesn't innately have, right? And you can add that with a sub-attribute generating equip, right? And it has that unique assist icon or whatever, and it's very nice, right? For example, Lisette's equip has it, so the helper Lisette gets a green sub-attribute, right? But the thing is, I don't actually have one of those on the leader Lisette, right? And the reason is because the way pings work, right? It's all the main attributes from left to right, and then all the sub-attributes from left to right, right? And so if you look at the order of the pings that hit, the first 3 will hit, right? And then those don't have Fujin latents, so they don't penetrate through Fujin shields. But the next 3 after that will hit, right? Mengwu main, Lisette main, right? Or helper Lisette main. And then if you go through the sub-attributes, you realize there's no green pings that can interfere with Fujins whatsoever, right? Of course, Alina has a light sub-attribute, and Berthe has a water sub-attribute, but those 2 cards aren't doing any damage. So if I match a water or a light combo, I'm not going to care. It's literally going to do maybe 1,000 damage at most. And that's not enough when we're dealing with hundreds of millions. So you have Mengwu mainat, helper Lisette mainat, and then no subat on leader Lisette, light water subats that don't matter, and then you have Mengwu subat, and then you have Lisette subat, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's a really brilliant solution to all the Fujins in the dungeon, right? I know there's a lot in the beginning, and then I think the boss before it transforms, so the boss is a 2-stage kind of thing, and on the first stage, if you hit it below 50, I think it generates a Fujin shield, and you can just punch through that. Now, of course, it's frustrating because the leader Lisette will, provide some HP, but it's only capped at damage cap, so 2.147 billion. So you don't really have to worry, and you can out damage it and just chip it down right away. So absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's a really brilliant solution. I just gotta say it's actually very brilliant. So props to the team builder. And yeah. So with that, I mean, that's all I got for the dungeon. There's obviously a lot of things that I want to say otherwise. Like, for example, how does NA feel about getting gapped out of One Piece, for example? Or, do we have to trade for Militia, right? Militia, I think. Militia. No, Militia. you know, I don't know, man. Just however you want to pronounce Captain Marvel. There we go. Yeah, but there's a lot of discussion. Like, do we want to trade for Captain Marvel, etc., etc. And I plan on releasing a video about that soon. When, I don't know, but I do want to talk about that, and we spoilers. But yeah, a video will be coming out soon on those topics, so look forward to that. So without further ado, here you go. UN2 title challenge clear with the super expensive and whale Lisette build. That's it for me. Yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions or anything like that, just let me know down in the comments below. And otherwise, good luck and have fun.